Go. We are ready to go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Monday night team Zoom. Today is the 19th.
It is.
It is the 19th. We're so excited to be here tonight. We have a very special guest. We have a lot to discuss, but let's get started because we have our guest and we want to let her get back to her evening. So Foster, you want to read a little bit about our special guest before we bring her on?
I do. Vertus Norton was the head of... Oh, no, wrong one.
Hi, Becky.
This is Becky Cox, everyone, Vice President of Global Marketing. Browse a brochure, view the latest video, click a link, or attend a live event, and you will immediately know you are in the right place. Becky Cox heads ASEA's marketing, communications, PR, and events, leading with vast industry experience and international savvy, and I tell you that is true. An alumnus of Brigham Young University, Marriott School of Management, Becky has worked in multiple executive office positions and even built up a successful wellness business as an independent distributor. Her unique insight into building a brand, combined with her natural dynamism, fuels the creation of a powerful worldwide marketing presence for ASEA. And I get to be blessed enough to work with Becky with the medical board. We are part of the marketing department, and it is always a pleasure. Thank you, Becky, for joining us. Welcome.
Thanks, Becky. Welcome.
What a kind bio. That's super nice. Thanks.
You're so welcome, and thank you for your precious time being here tonight. We know how
I'm actually honored and thrilled to be here. This is fun for me, so super excited.
Awesome. Okay, so we're just going to discuss the biochemistry of each ingredient.
So we might need Vertus for that then.
He'll be on in a moment. Okay,
Got the marketing person.
Exactly.
Your thoughts about.
So if you could just tell us, you were part of sort of the creation and the inception of this product. Could you talk about how it was that you guys came up with this idea and why?
Yeah, so we actually, without flashing a bunch of slides in front of you, we actually did quite a bit of surveying our existing field to find out what they were doing, what their behaviors were. We looked at a lot of data on what current trends are, not only in the United States as far as supplement usage, but also in Europe and other generally first world countries. So we wanted to be aware of what was going on at large in the world, what was going on in the United States, and then what was also going on across the world and in the United States among our ASEA people, both among customers and also among business builders. So we did quite a bit of background work to find out what people were doing as far as buying supplements, what they were buying, what categories we would want to be in, and really where we settled on these products. I'm going to say these because there are three. You have the first of the three, and there will be more after that. We really, based on all that data, picked the areas where we knew people were already buying product, where those were the top product categories of interest, and then we got started formulating. So, the big challenge for us was to figure out how to make a product that would not only not detract from the effectiveness of our redox products, but would actually enhance it. It was really the same proposition with our skincare. We just wanted a complementary product that would not only work well with ASEA redox, but also would stand on its own for people that maybe aren't consuming ASEA redox right now. We thought it could potentially even be a door. Sometimes talking about ASEA redox, as much as I love the product, and let me be the first to say I'm at ASEA because of that product and that technology. I understand that not everyone, gravitates towards it. Not everyone buys it. And so we also thought there might be potential to bring people into the community of ASEA consumers, starting from another point if perhaps the redox story didn't speak to them. So that was also something we wanted to do.
That's brilliant.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we love it. So, we were always purists and we're always ASEA redox people. Was it a difficult decision to say we want to add a nutritional?
I don't think so. I think for us, we saw the writing on the wall, which was that, companies that only have one product struggle in our industry. People aren't all the same, and we don't want to just only be able person. And so we've really tried to expand our product offering. The the challenge is to do something that relates to redox, that helps redox, that doesn't detract from or cannibalize redox. So we really feel like we got there with this product, in particular with Source, but also with any future product. I don't know that, I know that there are other points of view on this, but for me, this is only additive, right? If you choose to build only on redox or talk about redox, go right ahead. We're not going to force you to talk about skincare or supplements. If you choose to talk about skincare and not redox, that gets a little trickier. You're not going to be able to really talk about nutrition without redox to an extent, because that's who we are. But certainly we wanted to have more avenues for people to explore.
Okay, awesome answer. And as a very blessed and honored member of the medical board, I've been in the nutrition space for, this is my 4th decade, and this is the most impressive supplement I have seen. I'm really impressed with how much thought you guys put into it. And while we're talking about that, let's talk about the ingredient list for a minute. So there's some really, really impressive stuff in this supplement. So of all of the impressive things, what impressed you the most in this supplement?
Well, so there are solid ingredients. I come from a nutritional background. My career to date has been predominantly in supplements, so I have a lot of strong opinions. And to be honest with you, they're based mostly from the selling standpoint, just because my experience in the field was, you know, when you're in the field, whether you're just consuming or whether you're actually talking and sharing a product, you know, when people ask you questions, you need a good answer. You can't hem and haw, and, you know, you certainly can't hide something, and nor would you want to when you're talking to your friends and family and other close contacts. So for me, I really just wanted something that was super transparent, where every ingredient would be good, great, phenomenal, where there were no bad answers, nothing that we were trying to kind of hide or anything like that. And I don't want to assign bad motives to other companies, but certainly there are practices in our industry where, for the sake of cost or for the sake of, you know, any other factors, people create a less than ideal product. We just didn't want to have to deal with any of that. So favorite ingredients, I don't know. I really like the whole food story. The glycoferment story is a cool story. And they're just really cool ingredients. The one I personally gravitate to more is the red algae from Iceland. I like that ingredient. It's really cool. That vendor has done a ton of research on their raw ingredient, and it's just a really great ingredient. So it's, you know, it does great. And it depends if you're looking at what it's going to do for you versus the story of it. It all depends, but that's a really cool one. They're all great ingredients.
You know what, Becky, because we kind of got to hear about that on the Diamond call, the red algae, and I was the same. I was really impressed. Can you just talk a little bit about that? Because it's like from Iceland, and it's like the water, and
Yeah.
there's a whole story behind
Right.
that.
So this ingredient, when you see red algae extract on the ingredient panel, which is found on the product information page, it's in the back office, anyone can find it. I actually just Googled it, and you can find it all over right now on the internet. So there you go. Hey, you know what, Foster? I actually had to print it really big for myself too, so it's
Exactly.
thing about it.
Where do you think I got it?
And then Alan Noble, who's one of our field leaders, was in town for the webinar on Friday, and he's like, "Hey, do you have an ingredient panel I can just refer to?" And so I was like, well, it's on the product information page. And he kind of looked at me, and I was like, okay, just 1 second. And I had in my folder this 8.5 by 11 size product.
I carry it with me everywhere I go.
That's exactly what I had. I handed it to him. He's like, I see you've reached old age like the rest of us.
That's funny, because I took the bottle and I used a magnifying glass tonight upstairs to look at the.
And by the way, on that, just so you know, we changed the name. So the name, for those of you that don't know, we had announced that we're going to do a pre-release of this new product called Core. And then we changed the name, but we actually kind of like dithered on that and finally just pulled the trigger, but it was after we printed the labels. So literally, I'm not lying, we took all the product, we had our team at the production facility unlabel everything and relabel it. So we did those source labels kind of last second, and we did them on a digital press. So it's light gray, so it's really hard to read, and that will all end when we get the next run of labels, just for everyone's info. Because when I looked at that, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And the director was like, oh, no, that's not our fault. I'm like, okay, A, it's way too small, and B, it's way too light. So also, I'll let you know, this is a pre-release, so you may see some changes in the packaging, and there may be the possibility that we're going to use a different bottle that has bigger space for a bigger supplement panel. I'm just saying. Sorry, I apologize in advance. Okay, back to red algae. So this algae is a really cool ingredient. It's actually harvested off this area that's off the coast of Iceland. And this raw ingredient company has gone and gotten a license. Only they are allowed to harvest this red algae in this area. They've tested the water to make sure it's pure. It's a totally sustainable way that they harvest it. And they've met all the international compliance standards for sustainability. Anyway, so they harvest this red algae. So this is interesting because I usually make the point about superfoods. Superfoods that we've included are important because when you're only getting a gram of something, right, how much nutrient can be in there? It's a whole food, so we're not extracting it to condense it, right? We're not concentrating it. So you really need to pick the foods that are the most nutrient dense. So for that tiny amount that you're getting, you get more nutrient, right? So that's the thing about superfoods. Okay, the red algae is sort of the same thing, only for minerals. When a plant lives in the ocean, it is able to absorb and sustain more mineral content in it. So not only do we have this cool red algae plant that comes from these pure waters and is harvested sustainably, it has more mineral density in it. And the minerals, because they come from a plant, are much more bioactive than, say, minerals that are synthetic, that are found like in, inorganic, that are found in the earth, and also more bioactive and more bioavailable than land-based minerals. So it's just a really great ingredient. You get magnesium and calcium out of it. And, for people that don't know what magnesium and calcium are going to do for you, among other things, they've done studies to show that this magnesium and calcium, have contributed to a variety of things. Immune support, just a really great solid ingredient, straight from nature. We haven't messed around with it, and it's the best nature has to offer, and that's what we put in our product. So
cool.
And what was so interesting is, on the medical board when we talked about it, so calcium carbonate in the nutrition world before, if it came from oyster shells, you knew that it wasn't easy for the body to absorb, so you'd have to take a ton of it.
Right.
And now we have calcium carbonate from red algae. That's the opposite. That's amazing. So it's a very, very cool set of ingredients. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I also say this, if you look at the nutritional panel, you'll see, I think it's calcium has, or maybe it's magnesium has, red algae extract and then a glycoprotein ferment. Well, we can't control the proportion that nature puts calcium and magnesium and whatever into these, these plants, these algae, right? So in our case, we wanted to increase how much calcium or magnesium, or I think I need to pull it up. Which one? Foster, look at your supplement facts. Is it look at magnesium. Does it say red algae extract and glycoprotein? Okay, well, look at calcium. See what that says.
That says just red algae extract.
Okay, well, I don't know which one of them. It might be a different one. Anyway, we were careful when we did need to boost it up. So for example, the citrates, right? We've been getting these comments from people like citrates are awful, they're synthetic, they're horrible. No, these are citrates that are extracted from plants. And there's a good solid story. We haven't listed them because they're big, long names. And to be honest with you, when I looked at the name of the plant, some of them are fungi. I thought that looks kind of not understandable. So I didn't want there to be a question, like that's some weird scientific synthetic name, but they're all plant-based. So, we didn't just fairy dust it with synthetics, which is what other companies do. And you see it all the time. And then kind of on their FAQs, you see them dance around the subject. No, that actual ingredient doesn't come from the whole foods. We just threw those in there so it looked like they did, So, really good ingredients. So that's why we called it source, because it's a nod to the fact that all these have really good sources.
Awesome. Okay, so then we could make the blanket statement about this, that it's all plant-based. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
But so in that, we're saying a plant includes like a glycoprotein, like a fermentation type of thing, right? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know what yeast is considered, but yeah. So yes, okay. All natural, all plant-based.
Awesome. And before we let you go, could you talk for a second?
Mushrooms are plants, yeah. Well, mushrooms are plants. Is a mushroom a plant?
It's not an animal, and it's not a mineral. So yes.
Okay, there you go.
That's how doctors figure stuff out. Exactly.
something too, is the yeast. I remember we talked about that too, the yeast, and then people are like, oh my gosh, yeast is, because I know.
Yeah, we haven't had that question really, and so I don't know if it's because we addressed it or people don't care. I don't know. People are concerned about candida, and so I had this thought, well, maybe people think yeast, but it's actually a strain called Saccharomyces, and after the fermentation process takes place, they actually it goes through this process where the yeast is totally rendered inactive. You can test it's totally like not even active. It's not even there. So it's really just the nutrients from it.
Okay.
So it's not a concern.
Yeah.
Great.
Becky, we had somebody ask, can children take this supplement?
So I am an official company representative. So the official company answer is that this is formulated for adults.
Perfect. Okay, so I would assume it's the same for
Since
animals.
you're recording, I'm going to stop there.
Okay.
But
We are recording.
You have medical professionals among you, and I would maybe focus.
Okay.
I would check in.
Perfect. Because I did say I saw pregnant nursing, check with your doctor, and then children, of course, have to watch out for iron overload, and so that disclaimer was on there, which I thought was really smart. So I won't even ask you about animals because I'm going to assume it's the same answer because
it is.
You go.
We'll ask
Okay.
Marty more.
Yeah, you have medical professionals among you who actually have more rights than I do as far as that goes. So maybe we'll let them come.
This was something. I know that the serving size is four capsules is a serving size. Is that the?
Yes. Okay, you're cutting out on me. Can you hear me okay? If you can, maybe nod. I don't know. It might be my connection.
No, I can hear you.
Oh, there. I can hear you now. Oh, wait. No, I can hear Marco.
Terry, can you repeat your question, please?
Their voice just went out. I'm not sure. No, Foster. No.
I think we lost him.
Terry and Foster, we can't hear you.
So I'll be
Can you
taking
hear
over
us?
this webinar now. Quick. Hey, I know what her question was, so I'll address it. Well, they're probably going to log off and log back on, but she's asking about the dosage. So the dose we list on the bottle is actually take 4 per day. The ideal way you would take that would be to take 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening or in the afternoon. And with nutritional supplements, it's always better to take them with food. And so that's for a couple reasons. First, to try and capture any of the other cofactors that you might have eaten in your stomach, if there are any. And second of all, the fats in the food that you may have eaten also help to prevent stomach upset when you're taking nutritional supplements. I'm hoping we don't have that problem with ours. We were kind of careful about what we used to prevent that from happening. But the ideal way to take them would be to take it twice a day, 2 separate doses together with food. And then we actually had another question about, well, how would I take it with ASEA redox? And so we're actually waiting. I don't know why we didn't anticipate this question. We're waiting to hear back from our kind of redox experts